What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of JC Radio. I really want to thank everybody for checking out my last episode, my testimony, and I had a lot of good positive feedback from it and everything. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, listening, and checking it out. And this one as well, But uh, actually, like the first thing my wife said when she listened to it, she was just like, "Well, you sure did leave out a lot, but it is what it is." I try to, I don't know, I guess hit the high points. I usually um, try to pray or whatnot before each episode so that I make sure I put uh, in each one what the Father would want me to have in. And, if it's something that leaves my mind when I'm talking, then it's probably for, His will, whatever it may be. Which is ultimately why I'm doing this. It's just to glorify the Father and bring everyone to Him and, to minimize myself and maximize Him, to do whatever I can to aid people and going to Him, getting to know Him better, or just getting to know Him. Period. There's a lot of people out there that may just actually stumble across this. So that's my goals here. Which I digress. I mean, everybody knows that. I get from my first episode. I think I covered most of all that. But anyway, moving forward, what I pretty much want to talk about today is just the origins of Christmas and Easter. And I know this is an extremely sensitive subject and topic to a lot of Christians today, and it's a good one. It's a touchy one, so why not? uh, and in light of things, I'm not here to condemn, or I'm not here to try to be pointing fingers and saying, everybody's doing this or doing that and needs to change. That's not my objective. That's not my goal. All I want to try to do here is bring awareness to this issue and to shine a light on it, because some people may not know everything about it, or just know what they're told about it in their churches and whatnot. But and that's all. And it's not their fault. But anyway, let's just dig right on in, and we'll try to address some of these issues as we move along. I think probably what I'm going to jump on first would be Christmas and the origins of it. And it started, well, let's just say that it coincides with the dates of the Feast of Saturnalia, which started in early Rome and was celebrated for about 7 days, from the 17th to the 23rd of December, and was later extended to the 24th of December. So, and so when people hear that, well, what is Saturnalia? What's so bad about that? What's so wrong about that? So basically what Saturnalia it was an ancient festival to honor the god of Saturn, and who's known by many names, known by Kronos, and just, a lot of these ancient deities went by many names, and a lot of them coincided with like Greek mythologies and things of that nature. Just like Prometheus, being the light bearer, who is basically Lucifer, and that's why he is adorned by Luciferians. That's why there's so many statues of him. What is it down there in Rockefeller Hall? That big statue they have of Prometheus with the flame, being the light bearer, which was the flame light that he stole from the gods and gave to man, and was punished for eternity for doing so, which was giving man light and knowledge. So that, I mean, that's coinciding with Luciferianism and the difference between Luciferianism and Satanism is the fact that Luciferians believe that Lucifer is the good God of the Bible, that he set man free by breaking them out of the garden from the evil tyrant of the God that we know and worship, by giving man, opening their minds and giving them knowledge and light. And that's, it just goes back to like the Illuminati and a lot of secret societies and how they adorn knowledge, which there's nothing wrong with knowledge, but when they talk about being enlightened, that's where that term comes from, enlightened, and shining light on things is not so much shining light on things, but being enlightened, the light bearer, that's all from the Illuminati. You just look at the all-seeing eye, that's a symbol of the same thing, but that's on the back of your dollar bill for that matter. But, and I'm like, you see these statues up everywhere. Like, I know it's, in the background, the Prometheus statue is in the background of the NBC Nightly News when they go live, out there on the streets. They make sure to put him in the background of everything. So he's everywhere, and people just don't know it. They don't know that that's an image of Lucifer staring them right in the face. And I think a lot of pagan worship, and that's kind of a broad stroke and a broad spectrum to call things and say about things, but it hasn't gone away, but it just wears a different mask, and it's right in front of your face. But if you don't know it, if you don't know what you're looking at, then you don't understand it, because like you take a ton of the images in the White House and just everything in Washington D.C., just for that matter, is just loaded with it, just loaded with a lot of Greek mythologies and pantheons, and a lot of the the busts of former presidents and things. Like they had a statue of George Washington, and he was holding the symbols of the Baphomet, with the way his arms were, and with the number of fingers he had held up. I mean, it was him doing the signs of the Baphomet, which is just a whole different subject. I've really gone off on a tangent, but that just goes to show that a lot of these ancient gods and deities still are adorned and worshipped today. And going back to the god of Saturn, who is known as Kronos. Like I said, a lot of these guys go by different names, but it's the same one. You just kind of got to know your history and mythology on them, and so that's kind of what I want to touch on a little bit. And he was basically the god of Saturn was during the worship of Saturnalia was it was recognized with a sacrifice during these 7 days at the temple of Saturn. And that was later followed by gift giving and continual partying, almost like a Mardi Gras, where people were just having like crazy orgies and everything, because like on all your pagan worship, you had temple prostitutes that hung out there. So I'm like, how pornography is rampant today? Well, how the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, you might not watch it on your computers like a lot of people do today, but I mean, all you had to do was just go by the pagan temple, and you had temple prostitutes. Just it was just crazy. So I mean, those sins have never gone away, and it's always been easy for mankind to fall and stumble in those things. And I mean, it can be appealing to the wicked heart, and it goes after the flesh of mankind, and and that's what we're supposed to crucify with the Lord, But anyway, so they had all this going on, and even like those who were slaves, and they kind of had a chance to kind of cut loose, and they were able to participate in this Saturnalia. So, and they all would wear these little hats called, I'm going to butcher this. It's spelled Pilleus, and I'm not even going to attempt. I don't know, Peleus or whatever. And it basically is like a felt hat, and it looks exactly like the hats that's worn by like Santa Claus and all of his elves. It's those kind of hats, and everybody would wear those then while this was going on in this Mardi Gras type of atmosphere. And so this would last for a good 7 days. And another thing that kind of I found interesting, that on January 1st, which was the Roman New Year, which is still our New Year because we go by the Roman calendar, homes were decorated with greenery and with lights, and there was gift giving at that time just to the children and to the poor. And I think a lot of those things are incorporated in Christmas today. And that's, I mean, gift giving to children and poor. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, but it's just in the spirit that you're doing it in. And it's tough because I mean, I grew up celebrating Christmas and everything. I just kind of recently, probably within the past like 3 or 4 years, have kind of quit doing so. But when I would do it when I was in Christmas, I loved the fact that everybody was in a good mood and everybody would go out of their way to help the less fortunate. But it was just like as soon as that Christmas was over, it was just kind of like, bam, people would go back to turning their cold shoulder to the people outside who didn't have nothing, asking for money, and it's. But I don't know. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with giving gifts to children and poor, but I just thought it was an interesting correlation that all this was going on in ancient times, and they were traditions that have been picked up through today. And as Christianity spread into Northern Europe, the Celts and the Slavic winter festivals and like the winter solstice contributed like holly and mistletoe. And like even Christmas trees originated from this, and bonfires at this time was all done during the winter solstice, and it come from those like Celtic, Tunic, and Slavic traditions. And it's interesting, the whole Christmas tree is just loaded with a ton of symbolism there. I'm going to try to tread lightly on that, but I'm not really going to dive into that. I'll let you do that on your own if you choose to. It's pretty interesting. But anyway, so that's where a lot of those traditions come from. And the Celtic itself they have got some highly wicked traditions, because that's where the Druids come from. The Druids were Celtics. They were Celts. And they were, some of the Druid high priestess were just horrible people, just great workers of iniquity. And that's, a lot of where we get some of the Burning Man from, and the Burning Man festivals and all that kind of crap that still goes on, more or less in like the South Midwest, and that is just loaded. And a lot of our Halloween traditions come from the Celts and the Druids, and it all kind of works together there. But that'll be for another show, maybe, if the Lord sees fit. But that's kind of where mistletoe and holly and things come from. But yet we try to incorporate it and put a light note on it. Like everybody pops a kiss under the mistletoe and everything else. But and all in all, if you realize that it come from those traditions, I don't think they were initially trying to kiss under it back then during their winter solstices. But this is just what they brought to the table for Saturnalia. And the Teutonic, like they actually, that whole tradition there and line of people, they added specifically like the Yule tree and the Yule log and in parts of their nature worship, because that's what a lot of the winter solstice was like nature worship. And like Saturn was also he was like the god of their agriculture and wealth. The Saturn, the god of Saturn, to these people was known as during his reign was also known as the Golden Age, which, ties completely into, like I was talking about a little bit earlier, with like secret societies and CERN. They want to bring back this Golden Age when